following is a production of the Department of Broadcasting and Journalism at Western Illinois University.
Live from Salee Hall in high definition. News 3 starts now.
Run, hide, fight? WIU officers train employees about what it takes to stay safe if a shooter came to campus. That story ahead.
And a street is named after an important figure from Macomb who's made an impact across the nation.
Plus, we're not even to fall yet, but Macomb officials are looking ahead to winter. That story ahead. But first, the owners of a historic building near downtown Macomb say they will repair it after a car crashed into the structure last night. Good afternoon, welcome to Live at 4.
Now the owner of the building told News 3 Jarrell Hampton ran into the building, once known as Hangar 7, around 8:15 Monday night. Both owners told me they were sitting down to eat dinner when they heard the crash outside their home. Bill Collins walked out to find a Buick Rendezvous resting against the side of his building. Collins said that this is the second time the building has been hit since he bought it in 1969. He says the intersection is a dangerous corner for pedestrians and drivers. The owners plan on repairing the building as soon as possible. Police say the driver was not hurt. There's no word on charges in this crash at this time.
US 67 will be receiving a facelift from now until October 2nd. An ISP report says there will be lane closures off and on during the day. The lane closures will be on US 67 just north of Macomb for storm sewer and temporary widening work. The Illinois Department of Transportation warns drivers to use extreme caution and to slow down.
And moving to weather, it was a gorgeous day outside, and it's pretty much going to stay gorgeous for the next few days. You know, if we take a look at the temperatures right now, 82 degrees. That's not fall. And tomorrow's the first day of fall. I have more on that later, though. Humidity, 41%. Winds southwest at 5 miles per hour. It is very nice outside. Make sure you get a chance to take a step outside. If we look at the radar, not really any clouds around the area. They're kind of still to the west of us. And I'm going to have the update later if that's going to affect us or not. If we take a look, though, at the temperatures, we can see that in Macomb, it's 82 degrees. Quincy, 81. Galesburg, 80. And I'm going to let you know if we start to feel fall in a little bit, so make sure you stay tuned here Live at 4. The city of Macomb is looking past fall and into winter. City Administrator Dean Torsen speaks to News 3 on the idea Macomb has to keep sidewalks clear.
It's for a contractor to remove all of the snow and ice on all of the sidewalks along East and West Jackson and along Lafayette from Calhoun up to Pierce Street.
This amount of sidewalks is over 6 miles long. Torsen said they will take the snow to the waste dump that's off of Tower Road. The city said this is very important because in past years, pedestrians have started to walk on the highway rather than the snow-covered sidewalks. News 3 will keep you up to date with this story as we approach winter.
In more local news, with all of the campus shootings in recent years, do faculty feel prepared to protect their students? Reporter Ashley Cahill tells us about a special event to train professors and staff on how to survive an active shooter.
If an active shooter attacks our campus, will you be ready? Run, Hide, Fight is a series of sessions sponsored by WIU's Human Resources Office and the Office of Public Safety that prepares employees with practical options of what to do in the case of an active shooter. Lieutenant Tom Clark breaks down just why these sessions are important.
One of the things that it does, while it doesn't give you specifics, ABCs, 1, 2, 3, about what to do in an active shooter, the whole training session is meant to get people to think ahead of time about what they might do in the event of an active shooter.
What will you do? Run, hide, or fight? Sheila Downen tells us which one is the best option.
So it discusses a lot of options for us to do. Obviously, if we can run away from the conflict, we want to do that first. If that's not an option, another option may be to hide, although that's usually not the best option unless that's your only option out there. And then ultimately, if there is no other option, you may have to fight.
If you are a faculty or staff member and would like to learn what to do, you can register for these free sessions through the Human Resources Facebook page or by stopping into their office. Reporting for News 3, I'm Ashley Cahill.
If you are faculty or staff of WIU and would like to register, visit the link below.
Macomb police have arrested a man for robbery that happened earlier this year. A 4-month-long investigation has led to the arrest of 19-year-old Jamal McDaniel of Chicago, Illinois. Police say McDaniel fled back to Chicago and was taken in by the Cook County Sheriff's Police Fugitive Apprehension Unit. He was arrested for robbery and mob action against an individual near the Air Co. on Jackson Street. Police say McDaniel was charged with mob action because 2 other people were involved. 28-year-old Kiana Miller and 20-year-old Damonian Lewis were arrested earlier this summer. According to police, they have remained detained due to problems with bail.
A well-known figure in Macomb, Dr. Cordy Tyndall Vivian, will now be recognized in more than one way. At Monday night's City Council meeting, C.T. Vivian was acknowledged for his many accomplishments. Vivian is a distinguished author and minister who graduated from WIU. He worked alongside Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. and even participated in freedom rides and civil rights marches. Vivian also received the Presidential Medal of Freedom in 2013. He was recently named the Grand Marshal for WIU's homecoming this year.
Why wouldn't we take the opportunity to his essentially adopted hometown to reach out and say how proud we are of you, and we want to make sure we notify and tell the whole world that you have a connection.
C.T. Vivian is also getting acknowledged at the local high school. The Board of Education voted to name the Macomb Junior High Senior High School Library the revived C.T. Vivian Library.
You know, a community like ours, we don't have a lot of famous alumni, but we have a few. And Dr. Vivian is certainly one of those.
October 1st at 1 p.m., the Macomb High School will host a ceremony for the renaming of the Macomb Library. of the Macomb High School Library. In addition to the library renaming, the City of Macomb wants to recognize Vivian for his continuous commitment to the country by announcing the official naming of Lafayette Street from Carroll Street to University Drive. The event will take place on October 2nd at 1 p.m. on the corner of Lafayette and Adams Street.
And if you didn't hear, Chandler Park was rockin' this past weekend as it hosted the Al Sears Jazz Festival. This weekend-long event started Friday night with Journey to Jazz at the Western Illinois Museum. Events on Saturday started at 10 a.m. with live music from the Brazilianaires, Billy Rogers, and Dixie Daredevils. The Gazebo Art Festival was also going on at Chandler Park, featuring crafts, paintings, and a book sale. Sunday wrapped up the festival with a jazz brunch at the American Legion. And homecoming is just around the corner. Next Monday marks the kickoff of this year's theme, Rocky's Road Trip, with events lined up all the way until the big kickoff Saturday the 3rd. Soon the square will be decorated with colorful paws scattered throughout the streets from many organizations here in Macomb. Tuesday begins the eventful week with variety show held at Western Hall. To find out what other events you may want to attend, search the homecoming schedule on wiu.edu. And the Pope has landed. It's his first visit as pontiff to the United States. Straight ahead, the message his papacy delivers to America's youth. Why one local church says his inspiration for Catholics to come home. Plus, pumpkin problems lie ahead for the fall season. What's killing this year's crop of jack-o'-lanterns? That later on.
Stories. They happen everywhere. At News 3, we go the distance and tell them firsthand. Across tornado tore through a neighborhood in Washington, Illinois.
Across the state.
Here at the state capitol in Springfield for the gubernatorial race.
Across generations.
We have a lot of people that are very dedicated. We're all volunteers.
The stories that inform us, the stories that move us, the stories that matter from a fresh perspective.
I think NEWS3 is great. It's all one common goal. Everybody's trying to be number one. Last year, we were number one in the nation. We beat out Florida and Oklahoma. I get to work with so many professionals. It's a really great experience, and they're always there to help, and it's just all around fun. Jasmine Crichton really does make it a real life experience that, most schools maybe not, they don't offer that.
Hart, what's going on? I'm leaving. Why? What did I do? Not enough. The pressure's too much. I quit. I get it. I can do better. Just please don't leave.
Don't let your heart quit on you. Get your uncontrolled high blood pressure to a healthy range before it's too late.
Your family, friends, and neighbors are all counting on you. Never let your gun get into the wrong hands. Remember, always lock it up.
Now from Macomb in high definition, you're watching Emily Manley, Brianna Discorette, Storm Team 3's 5-day outlook, and sports with Aaron Sutira. Live at 4 continues.
This week marks the first time in more than 7 years a sitting pope has visited the United States. And in this time of progression in the Catholic Church, people of all faiths are taking note. And at least one demographic seems to be moved the most.
The people love him. Cubans gathered in Havana Sunday to celebrate Mass with Pope Francis, and today he prepares for his first trip to the United States. The Pope's popularity among all Americans sits at 70%, says a recent Washington Post ABC News poll. Analysts cite the pontiff's good standing with America's young population as one good reason for these numbers.
Pope Francis has inspired many young people to rediscover Catholicism, because his presentation is even more so out of the genuine love that we all have.
The return to a simpler message of love is what WIU Newman Center Director Jonathan Day says is sitting well with college-aged Catholics.
There's an energy that college students bring to it that is refreshing and inspiring to others.
Day also says the Pope's leadership is calling more to action and setting a good example of charitable works.
It helps to continue further to make their faith active, right? It's not just a belief that we hold, that we love Jesus. The Catholic faith is one where we express that love through our works of charity.
Day also says the Newman Center regularly sponsors activities to involve parish members with the community. Next week, NEWS3 takes you inside the Newman Center and how students feel the church and its community make a difference in Macomb.
More updates on the murder of a child found in Boston Harbor. The mother's boyfriend, Michael McCarthy, now faces charges of killing 2-year-old Bella Doe. The mother, Rochelle is on bond, also faces charges of covering up the murder of her child. She's being held on a $1 million bail. Authorities say McCarthy told Bond that, quote, Bella was a demon anyway, and it was her time to die. Both McCarthy and Rochelle are charged with improper disposal of a body. And a contagious virus is infecting the wild deer population in Illinois, just as deer hunting season nears. The Illinois Department of Natural Resources received reports of 47 suspected cases of the epizotic hemorrhagic disease in the wild white-tailed deer. EHD is a viral disease transmitted between deer by disease-spreading insects hatched from muddy areas of lakes and rivers. The disease is prevalent in counties around west central Illinois. McDonough County reports several cases of EHD. Nearby Adams and Schuyler counties report heavy loss of deer. EHD is not hazardous to humans or pets, but it can be infectious to livestock. Concerned citizens should contact their local IDNR office if they suspect a dying or dead deer infected by EHD.
The calendar might say fall, but the sunny skies sure say summer.
That's right. I'm going to let you know exactly what to expect after the break.
One day, when the glory comes, it will be ours.
Dr. King, what's your next move?
In March from Selma to Montgomery.
Selma is loud for every man, woman, and child.
We will not wait any longer.
In front of a crowd.
Thine eyes have seen the glory. Glory, glory, hallelujah.
Every day across America, excess food is gathered by a network of good people at local food banks, giving hope to millions of children who struggle with hunger. They've earned their wings, and you can too. Together, we can solve child hunger. Support Feeding America and your local food bank at feedingamerica.org.
I'm a teacher. Let me tell you what I make. I make learning a privilege, not a chore, and frustration a tool, not an obstacle. I make working hard seem easy and giving up impossible. I make an old subject feel like a fresh thought and unconventional methods common. I'm a teacher. I make more.
So they say it's a man's world? I don't see anybody's name on it.
While they were doing their thing, we slowly changed our own.
Today, women can do anything men can do. And there's one thing we're even better at.
And moving to weather, we might as well start with how nice the day is outside. If we take a look outside, you see a little cloud in the air, but nothing too bad. But the temperature really says it all. 82 degrees currently right now. Winds about 5 miles per hour from the south. That's why we are still so warm. Humidity is still very low, and we don't have to worry about that for the next few days, which is quite nice. If we take a look right now at, I'm sorry, let's go back there for a second. If we take a look right now, well, you can see the temperatures around the region. That in St. Louis, you can see that it is over 80 degrees. Same with Chicago. Everybody is dealing with that great temperature outside. 81 in St. Louis, 77 in Chicago, just fantastic. The radar from earlier, like I said, this cloud coverage is gonna not affect us too much. There is some rain that's out in Iowa. That's not going to affect us either. They have a low pressure system right now that is creating that for them. If we take a look at this evening, though, you can see the temperatures. We will be in the 50s, but we will warm up again tomorrow, I promise. There is no worries that we have to see anything below 80 degrees for the next week. Tonight, though, I have the best news of all. Pumpkin time, fall time, all of the just wonderful smells and being outside with the leaves starts tonight at 3:21 a.m. I should say tomorrow morning at 3:21 a.m. As we take a look at tomorrow, another 80-degree day. Nobody can complain to me yet. This is called the boring weather segment, actually. As we take a look, that low pressure system that is up there will move down, but that's not going to affect us at all. There's still so much high pressure that is in this area that is causing some nice weather. As we take a look, tonight is going to be 55 degrees. Tomorrow, though, back at that 82 mark. And like I said, here's that boring weather forecast. You can see that it is 82, 81, 81 again, and 79. So it's supposed to be super, super nice. Make sure that you guys get outside and enjoy it before it actually does turn to fall, because we have quite some time to enjoy it. We don't see going out of the 80s or even reaching into the 60s for a high until about 2 weeks. So make sure you guys get outside and really enjoy it, because I have a feeling once fall's here, we're all gonna be complaining. So we might as well enjoy the 80 degrees while we can. So Eric, you know, this weekend, it was a nice weekend for football. Do we have a good? Okay, well, good. Let's hear what you got.
It's actually the season for pumpkins, but heavy rain in Illinois is doing damage to the crop. Farmers in west central Illinois say heavy rains over the summer really impacted the size of his crop, and not in a good way. Across the country, the harvest could be down as much as a third this year. That's because heavy rain splashes bacteria onto the plants, making holes in the skin and causing some to rot from the inside out. Farmer Bruce Curry in Alpha, Illinois, says he will sell what pumpkins he has and buy the rest from farms in Wisconsin.
Now it's Eric's turn. That was my bad in the rundown there.
Good catch on that.
I'm glad you guys kept the show going there.
And ahead in sports, the Macomb Bombers look to improve their record this past weekend on the road against the neighboring Monmouth-Roseville Titans. And following their first win of the season, the Leatherneck men's soccer team took on Loris at John McKenzie Alumni Field yesterday in dominant fashion. And the Leatherneck football team traveled to Conway, South Carolina to try and upset the #1 team in the FCS on Saturday. All that and more right after the break.
Hey everybody! Heart disease affects 1 in every 3 women in America, but you can fight back. There's no time to lose. Mothers, sisters, daughters, families, and friends, it's time to shout louder, stand stronger, and demand change. Let's go!
To the Batmobile. Dang it.
To the invisible jet! Dang it. Together, we can put an end to heart disease. It's time to go red for women. I could use your help. Yeah! Learn more from the American Heart Association at www.goredforwomen.org.
What do you think it would be like to teach? Chances are, you have no idea. Teachers today are breaking down obstacles, finding innovative ways to instill old lessons, proving that greatness can be found in everyday places, and that you don't need to be famous to be unforgettable. That's what it's like to teach.
What did you want to be when you grew up? Now, how do you make it happen? Think purple, think success, think Western Illinois University.
My favorite thing about WIU is how much we work as a team. Everyone here has helped immensely, and when we work together, the outcome is amazing. Producing for the newscast, writing for the newscast, going to city council every Monday. It's something that I've learned that it takes a team. There's no such thing as an I. If there's an I, then we know that something's going to go wrong. I really do believe WIU has prepared me for the outside world. I can't wait to see where I end up. I have to thank everyone that has been involved. You know, Jasmine Creighton, she has managed to help me overcome that scary part. And the way that you have a great show is not the content that you have, it's the people who you work with. And here at WIU, I have had a chance to work with some excellent people.
Welcome back to Live at 4. The Macomb Bombers football team traveled 30 minutes north to face their rival Monmouth-Roseville Titans Friday night, and Macomb would have no trouble at all against them. The Bombers would put 319 total yards up rushing, led by Lucas Van Atten, who had 116 yards on just 4 carries. And the Bombers would pick up their second win of the season by steamrolling the Titans 40-18, and this is the Bombers' first time at being at 500 since week 2 of the 2013 season. And their next contest is this Friday at home against Illini West, and kickoff is set for 7 p.m. Following their first win of the season against Kansas City, the WIU men's soccer team looked to continue down the right path at home yesterday against Loris. Let's check out the highlights here as the sun was shining yesterday for Western. As down 1-0 here on the throw-in, it's Drew Whalen who ties it up at 1, putting it in the back of the net. Western would go up 2-1 shortly after that, though, as Loris, though, would tie things up once again here as it's Brian Irwin with the score to tie things at 2, and that's about as far as Loris would get as Western would regain the lead here 31 minutes in as it's Drew Whalen who puts it across the net for Armel Kauzi to head it in for the score. And Western would continue to dominate that game, though, racking more points up as the game went on, and the defense was astounding here as Western heads it out here, and then Loris tries to put it back in. Sam Kopp with a beautiful save there, and Loris would get no further. And the men's soccer team would finally get their second win of the season, finishing off Loris 5-2. The Leathernecks would move to 2-5-1 on the season, and they will be at home this Saturday to take on Denver at 1 p.m. The Leathernecks volleyball team continued their road trip this past weekend in Terre Haute, Indiana for the Indiana State Tournament. They would struggle to get a win in all 3 of their games they faced, as their only match win would come against Valparaiso on Saturday. But they would lose all 3 of their series against Indiana State, Valparaiso, and Chicago State. And the Lady Leathernecks would fall to 2-12 on the season. And they start conference play this Friday in South Dakota. Now Western Illinois football paid a visit to the Teal Field in Conway, South Carolina on Saturday to try and upset the #1 seed in the FCS. And there are a lot of highlights from this one, though, as President Thomas was in the house on a humid Saturday night in Conway, South Carolina. And Western's defense would start off the first play by taking down Carolina's quarterback, Alex Ross. And that fired the defense up well, as Coastal Carolina would go up 3-0, though, but then that didn't last long, as Nico Watson finds the end zone to put Western up 7-3 with 7 minutes left in the second quarter. And then down 10-7 in the third quarter, Nico Watson once again with the draw play up the middle, the big man to the 1-yard line, put Western up 14-10. That lead, though, would not last long, as it was back and forth game till 7 minutes left in the fourth, as Alex Ross here with a handoff up the middle to Henderson to make the score 34-27. And that's pretty much where it would end, as Western on their last drive down to 2 seconds left with a Hail Mary pass, and that did not go very well, as that was batted out of bounds by Coastal Carolina, and Coastal will go on to win 34-27. Nico Watson rushed for 156 yards on 29 carries, and Trent Norvell was 31 for 48 and threw for 370 yards. And Western has a weekend off, but they return home October 4th for homecoming at Hanson Field to take on SIU. Guys, I enjoyed my time, I'd say, this past weekend in Myrtle Beach, and not really looking forward to this weekend having some time off, though.
I bet not, but at least they had a good weekend for it. Thanks, Eric.
Yep.
We'll be right back after this.
Wow, these are really good.
You act surprised. Practice makes perfect.
You don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. There are thousands of teens in foster care who don't need perfection. They need you.
Getting closer to nature can get you closer to your family. Go to discovertheforest.org.
They said I couldn't dream. Called me a piece of trash and swore that's all I'd ever be. Said a bottle couldn't see the ocean. Give up. Go back to the dumpster. But I didn't listen. I made my way. And now, I am what I've always wanted to be.
Eleanor Parnell of Topeka, Kansas had knee surgery a couple of years back, but that has not stopped her from scratching off items from her bucket list. She has tried to cross off something every year since her 80th birthday.
One year, she took a hot air balloon ride. Another year, she went drag racing. This year, her family and friends cheered her on as this daredevil zip-lined in Topeka. Eleanor says that she has a wild streak in her.
I've zip-lined twice, and it's a lot of fun. I recommend it to anybody that wants to do it.
It is a lot of fun.
I can't imagine doing it at 94 years old, though.
You gotta have goals.
I know, I can't either. But that's all for us from the studios today.
But we continue online all the time. News3WIU.com.
I'm Emily Manley.
And for Eric Sutera, I'm Brianna Descaray.
And for all of us here from News 3, have a fantastic evening.